In the world of finances, we believe we can reach if we learn how to teach. There's nobody better than the preach. The finance preacher, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next. Welcome to a great episode of the Cash Compound Podcast, where we have a guest in our studio. Now, he's virtual. He's actually out there somewhere, but welcome to Dipo Adesina. He is the finance preacher on Instagram and TikTok. Hey, man, thanks so much for being here on our episode.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. So we haven't met formally in person yet, but informally, we have probably seen each other as we scroll on these crazy platforms out there, trying to help people with their finances, help them learn about what's true, what hasn't been taught in school or in their home anymore. But Dipo, appreciate what you're doing, man. I think we're going to get into it in this episode, man. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing out there on the Tickety Talks and the Instagrams, trying to help people out, man.
Yeah, sure, man. I definitely, first and foremost, like I said before, I definitely appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast. I see you and your brother all the time. Like, you guys are doing an amazing job. So it's definitely an honor when I got the request from you. But essentially what I do is pretty much all about financial literacy, right? Just teaching and equipping people on how to be more financially prudent and to build generational wealth using different tools to be able to do that, with life insurance being one of them, as well as just pretty much just overall investment strategies, right? And it's something I've been passionate about for probably 2 decades now. And, just empowering our community and just making sure that people are liberated from debt and things like that.
I love it. Now, when you say our community, I've got a question about what that means and who that is. See, I didn't grow up in the finance business. We didn't talk about it in the home all that much. You said you've been in the game for 20 years trying to have a message and get that passion out to people. So when you talk about the community, who are you speaking to? Who's like you? Who's like me? Who's like us?
Sure. Well, obviously, when we leverage platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and all the likes, our message is going out there to everybody, right? But I think people that typically gravitate towards my message are the African American community. Like you rightly said, these strategies and financial literacy is not something that was taught in homes, right? So now we're starting to see platforms like TikTok giving people like us the opportunity to now start preaching a certain message that people have never been exposed to. So ideally, like I said, younger, not necessarily even young people, I'm starting to realize that even the older generation are gravitating towards this message because, now they're in their 50s and 60s and they've never been taught financial literacy and some of the things that we share on these social media platforms.
When you say financial literacy, I agree with you wholeheartedly about what it is we don't know. Help us understand, though, how you would define it. What is financial literacy? How do we know if we're competent or not? And the reason I ask is because I think a lot of people assume they're okay. They're good people. They work hard. They're trying to pay their taxes. They're trying to get a better job, or they're trying to move up in their company. Are they financially literate, or are they being left behind?
That's a great question. So when you talk about financial literacy, it has nothing to do with how much money you make, right? I know people who make well over 6 figures, and they still live paycheck to paycheck. So financial literacy is really the understanding of how money works. That's like the simplest way I can break it down, right? When we go to school, most people were taught, hey, get good grades, you get a job so you can start a family and live, happily ever after. But the unfortunate part is that people weren't taught on how to use the money that you earn when you start working a job. So financial literacy pretty much has to do with how to earn, how to keep, and how to invest your money, right? To essentially, create generational wealth along the line.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you even included invest into it. I think there's a lot of people, including myself, prior to having some of the knowledge that I have and what we try to train and educate people on now, I thought investing was something that was special. I didn't know that I should be a part of investing at all. I really did think that there was a breaking point of learning and earning and I wouldn't have to invest. That's for a different style of person. But are you saying that investment should always be a part of everyone's life?
Oh yeah, whether you're business minded or not, whether you all you've ever done was work a 9 to 5 all your life, investing is something that any and everybody can do. Right now, obviously there are different degrees and degrees to investing, but generally speaking, anybody can and everybody should be investing.
Got it. Take us back 20 years, my friend. How'd you get into this business? How has it evolved and changed? A lot of things have come and gone probably in 20 years, and you've been constant. So how did it all get started?
Sure. So for me, I think I've always been passionate about entrepreneurship. I mean, going all the way back as I was in middle school, right? The whole concept of, you buy candy from the store, you resell it, in school, mark it up for 50%, 50 cents, whatever the case may be. So that idea has always been, in my mindset, right? But as I continue to get older, I quickly realized really when I got to college or even before college that there's something wrong between the educational system and what the reality is, right? As far as how money is being earned and how people become wealthy. So started reading pretty much when I was my freshman year in college, right? About financial literacy, wealthy people. And that's when I really started to discover that wealthy people do certain things with their money than the average and the lower class do with their money, right? So that was like my journey, right? Actually reading books, following wealthy people, attending seminars and things like that. And back then, of course, we didn't have social media like we do today. So I wasn't more so out there encouraging people about financial literacy as opposed to me personally trying to improve myself to kind of get a better understanding of how money worked. And obviously, as you continue to learn, it becomes a lot easier for you to impart that knowledge into other people.
So you're saying that school also failed you in this, and maybe even your family. I'm sure they loved you, but give us a little background there. So you learned everything outside of the classroom, the traditional schooling classroom?
100%. In fact, I never did well in school. Right, I stayed back in the 8th grade, failed a couple of grades, went to summer school. So for me, the school system was something you just have to go through because it's part of the system, right? You're when you turn 5, you start kindergarten, from there elementary school, high. So it's a system that you have to go through because that's what we were brought up in. But for me, I quickly realized that success has really nothing to do with what we call education, right? Obviously, there are different types of education and knowledge that you can pursue to kind of guide you into the path of being wealthy. And that's one of the things that I realized that, my success was not going to be within the four walls of the school system as we know it.
I love it. Okay, that brings me to our quote of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, we almost heard it from Dipo right here. I don't know if it came from him first or Mark Twain, but I never have let my schooling interfere with my education. Dipo, I think that's kind of
Mm,
what you were saying, right? I've never let
absolutely.
schooling interfere with my education. We all went through school, right? And it's obvious that we could sit in the same classroom with people day after day and we have a different outcome, right? A different result. We have the same
Absolutely.
opportunity. We were all sitting there. We were all learning our science, our math, and our reading, but we had a different result at the end. It came out in our grades and our production, and now in our mindset, which brings us health and wealth. So we all went to school, but financial education is so much different. Thank you, Mr. Mark Twain, or hey, maybe it was Depot that started that. I don't know if he gave him that idea or not, but I thought it was relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now let's get into some of your formal training outside of formal regular schooling. So what kind of prompted you into the what we might call financial services business? Where did your formal training start there? Was it a seminar? Was it I didn't have any other opportunities or I failed out of them? A lot of people look at folks maybe like us who teach and preach financial education literacy, who get paid off sales and commissions in those areas as people who are not trustworthy. So how did you get started? Why did you think this was a viable option for you?
Yeah. So I had a business partner who has been in the industry, I think, since 2008. Um, and we've done multiple businesses together, years back. And he just kind of been persistent about how important it is to get involved, to become a financial professional, right? How the products work, how it can benefit people and things like that. But I never really paid attention to it because I have so many other businesses going on. But I think his persistency kind of led to the point where I made me kind of get a better understanding of how the products work and how the industry works. And I think in just sitting down with them, for about an hour or so and really just getting a full grasp of the industry, it just became a no brainer as to something that not only I can do, but also empower people out there who have zero knowledge of how our industry works and how some of our products work to actually help them in, building generational wealth along the line.
What would you say are the most misunderstood financial products out there? If people understood the way they worked or the way they didn't work, they'd probably change their actual habits.
Hands down, life insurance.
And why is that?
Absolutely. Because when you think about life insurance, which I think even the word itself should be changed to what most people think it is, death insurance. When you say life insurance, there's this notion that obviously there are different types of life insurance, but generally people think that life insurance is a product that's designed for people to use after they're gone. Meaning that if I have a policy for $500,000 and I happen to pass away 5 years down the road, that 500 now gets transferred to my kids or my spouse so that they can live after my passing. But of course, as you and I will know, that that's really not the case when it comes to how some of these products work. And it's very obvious that most people don't know, because now when you see content creators creating, content around these various products, people are alarmed that they never knew that this type of product exists. Some people think they just came up with it, but these are things that's been going back as far as 100 years ago. But once again, the information or the knowledge was not properly communicated out there, so people have been misinformed for years.
It's one of our favorite things to rediscover all the time, how we can properly design and utilize life insurance for our living benefits, right? For cash flow, as we say around here, cracking the code to cash flow. But let me switch that question on you and flip-flop it the other direction. I want to switch the question to what financial products are being overused, and most people think they understand it, and they probably wouldn't use it the same way if they understood how they really work. What is something people think they know that just ain't so?
Not 401k, right? I mean, that's, and I'm just talking personally from my own experience, right? And once again, as we in the financial world start to, we're exposed to a lot of things. And to me, it's my duty to, acquire knowledge so I can empower people with the right information. I think a lot of people overly trust the system, right? A lot of people overly rely on the government or the systems that they've put in place to help them once they get to the point of retirement. So we don't question things because it's been that way for decades. Nobody starts a job and start questioning 401k. Nobody gets a job and say, hey, how you allocating my funds and who's getting paid what, am I guaranteed to get this money when I get to retirement age? What are the tax implications, right? We don't talk about that. The only thing that's out there is, hey, when you turn 65, you're able to, as long as you have been putting away a certain amount every year at retirement, you now have access to this money that you've been putting away. But as you and I know, that's not been the case for a lot of American citizens who have been faithfully put money away for years.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people are in for a crazy wake-up call, and they're getting to that point already. After 2008, there's a lot of people in the boomer stage that are now retiring, right? The baby boomers are retiring like crazy every single day, and they're starting to realize that some of their desirement years, their golden years, are not looking that golden, because they realize this pile of money that I'm now able to have access to without penalties, at least, is taxable. My deductions are gone. The prices are going up like crazy, no matter what the president says. and I don't know if I'm going to make it. And people are living a long time because of modern healthcare, medicine, the way people have even taken care of their bodies. They're generally going to live
Absolutely.
another 20 to 40 years potentially after retirement. It's really crazy to think about that. And today, I can't go 40 years. People my age cannot go 40 years without working, right? So people are having to triple up on jobs and other opportunities, and retirement all of a sudden just means you get a part-time job or something. And I'm like, I don't think that's what it's supposed to be, man.
That's not what. Yeah, not at all.
So tell us about the typical client that you enjoy working with. Who are they? What are they into? What are they trying to learn from you? Because it's not just the products. Apparently, it's about the education. That's how I see you spreading the message.
Absolutely. Yeah. So most of the people that I work with are people who are very very much interested in this financial literacy we've been talking about. Because now we're sharing a message that they've never heard before. So once they catch a glimpse of what I have to offer, they constantly want more. So my typical audience or clients are people who, number one, they're probably millennials between 30 and 40. I'm starting to see people also in like their early mid 50s who are getting to that point to really understanding that, hey, I'm approaching retirement and things aren't looking the way they're supposed to. So now they're looking for alternatives to secure their retirement, right? Obviously, we all know that one source of income, irrespective of how much you're putting away, is not going to get the job done, right? So people are looking for multiple streams of income. People are looking for how to protect what they've already been putting aside for retirement, and people are looking for retirement supplements. So these are the different types of people that I've been seeing just really over the last 1 or 2 years, reaching out to us.
I love it. So when we're talking about helping people understand the benefits of life insurance and how we're going to be able to utilize that for this concept, banking, infinite banking, privatized banking, and things like that, there's a lot of noise that's still out there. And we live in an age and a revolution of all these people showing up on the algorithm who are saying everything possible about what this product can and can't do. 401k, same thing. I think we've all believed some lies out there. What is a common misconception about once people start to hear about life insurance? I think a lot of people who listen to us and who are going to listen to this are starting to realize that life insurance has a bunch of benefits. There must be something there. But what about the message is it teeters on the line. Like, it may not be fair to say life insurance can do this. It may not be right for you to think. And if you hear it from someone once, you might think we're saying this. But so how would you describe life insurance? What are the benefits of utilizing the right style of life insurance? And where do people kind of take it off base?
Sure. Well, I always like to clarify that life insurance is not an investment, right? At least in a typical form that people know it to be, right? Investment, you put money away, it grows. You know what I'm saying? Like this, there's an idea of what investment is, and life insurance doesn't fit into that traditional terminology. However, it can be used in a way to protect your money, and it can be used in a way to actually help you accumulate some growth on the money within your policy and being able to leverage it, accessing it tax free. Now, when you talk about the misconception about life insurance, if that's the right word I'm looking for, a lot of people that at least that I've been seeing obviously think that life insurance can make you rich, right? You can use life insurance to become wealthy. Well, the truth of the matter is, you can design a policy to help you achieve a level of success if leveraged properly, right? But in itself, you can't use life insurance to really build wealth by itself without leveraging it to do other things, if that makes sense.
Well, I know. I feel like I know. I'm just trying to help everybody else out there. So what you're saying is, let me recap it back to you, because I think I can say what I know and you know to be true and help other people.
Sure.
Is we're utilizing life insurance to protect our money, and it doesn't go bad, doesn't go backward, and we're able to leverage it for investments, other things that are investments. But now we're safe and we're protected with our money. And so we're not at risk of losing our money when we get into another investment strategy. But since our money is, as I always say, guaranteed to grow in cash flow, because if you place it in the right style of life insurance, It's going to be guaranteed to grow in cash flow. And if you do that, you can cash flow to other investments where your money that you put into life insurance is still safe.
Very well correct. I think you
Yeah.
that's why you're the pro, right?
Hey, we're just out here trying to help.
That's
Right.
why I'm on your show.
Well,
Yeah, you're 100% correct,
Yeah.
right? And I think you guys actually do a better job at that than I do, right? Because I feel like you spent quality time doing live sessions and educating people and using different tools to help people understand the concept. The unfortunate part is that most people, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people will still not get it.
Yeah,
right? There are
sure.
a lot of people
Right.
who don't want to understand and who have a preconceived notion that they refuse to change just due to whatever reason. But, I think as far as this is concerned, the more we share and the more people are willing to be open-minded, the more they'll be able to see that this is a policy or a strategy that you can use to do a lot of things outside of the preconceived notion of what most people think life insurance is for.
I love it. Coming up next, we have our fan follow of the week. This week, we've got somebody from YouTube, and I think Dipo, who's on our show this week, is helping us understand that we do have preconceived notions about products out there, but somebody who's willing to change their opinion, the way they're thinking, because they're following us, at least that's what I've decided, is Deverick. What's up, Deverick Watson, Screen Talk Media out there on YouTube. Appreciate the follow, my man. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel, and we look forward to having a conversation with you very soon. Make sure you follow us out there, ladies and gents, at The Banking Bros and at The Cash Compound. All right, back to you, Dipo. I totally agree that there's ways in which words make us think, and sometimes those words paint the picture of something that we didn't say. And depending on who received that information, they may have thought that we said the word investment. Everything about what we're saying sounds like what traditionally we would say about an investment, but life insurance is not that investment. Life insurance, as my man Caleb Williams says in his book, The And Asset, it is the and asset. We're going to be able to secure our opportunities for investment because we have permanent life insurance with those benefits available to us. So it is tough, and one of the things that we've done special around here is the 3-cup setup. And the 3-cup setup really helps people understand, but it's not because we're smart. It's because we were sick of being dumb to everyone else. We're like, look, you're not going to withdraw your money out of it. How do we help them understand it's in a different bucket? Then we said, maybe if we put it in a different bucket, they'll get it. So that's what we started to do several years ago. Yeah, man. Well, appreciate you following.
I actually got that. I got that concept from you guys. When I first saw it, I said, this is a genius. Like
Right.
it was so simple.
Yeah.
For people to understand, people who want to understand, to see how this thing actually works. And I remember when I saw that concept, like, I got to do this. And I made a video on that. And that video just took off because it just made sense to everybody. So I definitely want to appreciate you guys once again, really just for putting a lot of energy into coming up with different creative ways to, educate people on how these policies work.
Love it. Appreciate it, man. Well, thank you. Thank you. You just weren't around day one when we first discovered this. And by discover, it means someone told us, right? Somebody told us the power of leveraging permanent life insurance in the way that we do with whole life. And we didn't know. So it took us a while to come up with that strategy. But that strategy and that word picture and that visual really help a lot of people. So I love it. Well, hey, what's the other thing that's crazy is how much social media is really able to help the financial professional reach people. There's a lot of people out there who want the information we have. They're sick of the traditional Wall Street. They realize at 50, 55, this plan is not going to work. This nest egg lump sum thing is not big enough. It fluctuates. I'm getting too old too fast. Something was wrong with my ideology because it was flawed, or they just decide everyone lied to me, but hopefully they're not to that point of desperation. So I want to know how you've leveraged your social media and tell us where we can find you, because I think you have a lot of followers on multiple platforms. So how have you decided to use social media to reach this larger and larger group of people all across the country and beyond with this education?
Yeah. So I think initially when I first started on social media, it was all about, pretty much what everybody was doing, posting pictures, trying to, socialize and things like that. But I quickly realized, at least for my passion, which has always been to speak and inspire people, I realized that social media was a platform for me to be able to do that. So when I first got really passionate about the financial industry, I just realized that this was going to be an avenue for me to empower a lot of people. So started creating content, and as you would know, when you first start out, nobody knows who you are, right? But the consistency in doing the same thing over and over again eventually leads to a tipping point where things just kind of takes off on its own. And that's essentially what happened with all my pages. So now I'm solely dedicated to just not just about life insurance, but different strategies and different things that can literally help people to scale up in their finances. So yeah, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, not so much on Twitter. Just hop on Threads, and my social media handles are all the same across all platforms.
Love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll drop that stuff in our description of this YouTube video and on our other places where we put our podcast, so you can follow this man. Dipo, appreciate you coming on, man, for a quick convo, but we love what you're doing. I follow when I'm not trying to proselytize and promote everything that I'm doing and moving people toward a live event or say, hey, join us for this next thing. I do every once in a while say, hey, you can go follow him too. He's got good stuff out there. So yes, appreciate you being on this show with us. And if you, ladies and gentlemen, need a financial education awareness wake-up call, maybe you can just follow this man. So appreciate you being with us here on the Cash Compound podcast. And we look forward to partnering with you on cracking the code to cash flow in the future. Thanks, Dipo.
My pleasure.